on the button.
There you go, that works. You can see both of us. That's amazing. How come that's never worked that well before?
I have no idea.
I had no idea. Welcome, one and all. This is Graham Hughes here, along with Chris Rossi, and we are now heading home, homeward bound. We are currently in the lovely country of Belgium. We have just come out of the Netherlands. There's that little bit that sticks out the bottom of the Netherlands, the little dangly bit that sticks out the bottom. We just cut across that corner of Belgium. Of Holland, of the Netherlands, and now we're in Belgium. And we've got to start broadcasting a little bit earlier, but whenever we cross an international border, because your phone has to go to a new operator, it recalibrates and we lose signal. So that's why we waited till now to start broadcasting. We have just come from Dusseldorf, the German city of Dusseldorf, where we dropped off Alexandra and Alex, who were our Ukrainian friends that we met at the Humanitarian Aid Center in Medica, which is the place that we went to in Poland on the border with Ukraine. Yesterday we drove for a very long time to the Polish-German border, and today we have crossed the whole of Germany, dropping them off in Dusseldorf along the way, and then flew into the Netherlands, and now we're in Belgium. We are on the way to the Eurotunnel. We should be arriving there at about 22:38, which might be a bit late for the tunnel crossing that I've booked us on, so I should probably put my foot down and not sit behind this lorry all day. So, big thank you to everyone who has supported us. I mean, seriously, I just want to get this out there. We couldn't have done this without you, okay? And before we get any sort of plaudits for doing this, if it wasn't for you, we would be sitting at home watching the telly, wishing that we could be doing something. So, thank you. If you contributed in any way, even if it was just a share or a like, then you helped this expedition. We have already got a new list, a new updated list from our friend Dr. Gordon, the medic on the border of Ukraine and Poland, and so we have more things to bring next month. The UK for UKR's mission isn't just a one-off. We are going to continue to do this for as long as necessary, and you know what? If this conflict ends next week, then the money that we've raised is going towards the rebuilding of Ukraine. Absolutely. So, Mayor, what did you think of our friends, Alex and Alexandra?
They're actually really nice. Very nice young people. They really were sweet. They were. They're more worried about us because we on the way over we decided, well, we'll get them something to eat, and they were worried that we were going to spend too much on them, or that that we'd end up being bankrupt or whatever. And they kept ordering the smallest meals, didn't they?
Yeah, and we were like, no, you get what you like.
We ended up having to buy the biggest meals, not because we wanted them, but you turn around and go, oh, look, a bit extra fries here, and they'd wolf me down.
Yeah.
But they were really sweet, they were really nice, very polite.
Really polite.
Really polite young people.
There was a certain melancholia to them because they were obviously a little bit shell-shocked, but also just devastated as to what has happened to their country. The violence that has been, launched at them for no reason at all, except the arrogance, the megalomania of a madman. And make no mistake, Putin is a madman. And my heart breaks for them. It really does. My heart breaks for these kids who are, we worry about kids not having a proper childhood because they learn about sex too young, or they learn about this, they learn swear words and things. I mean, okay, yeah, that's bad, but I mean, bloody hell. Being in a war zone.
They have no love for the Russian soldiers at all.
They had to go through so many checkpoints on the way from Kherson, where they lived, to get out of the country. They had to go through so many checkpoints, and it's just so sad. It's just so sad, and it's a trauma that they're gonna
bear with them for the rest of their lives. They're only so young. Alex, the younger one, he was only 16. Alexandra was 20.
Sorry.
While we're here, I'd also like to give a big shout out. Let us know if there's any problems with the sound of the video, by the way, because I just had to change the microphone. A big shout out to Paolo and all of the people at the. There's a Facebook group that we're part of called Aid Out Refugees Back, who are doing basically what we're doing, where you go in, take the aid with you, and you bring as many refugees as you can back out from the border area to where they need to be in Europe, with their families, their friends, whoever they need to be with. And it's a fantastic group, and it came together because Paolo just got in his car almost as soon as the war began. He got in his car and he drove to Ukraine to give whatever help he could, and just what a guy. So thank you, Paolo. Again, another person we couldn't have done this without. The sound is good. The sound is not great, but good enough. I want it to be great, goddammit. I want it to be perfect. I wonder why it's not that good. Oh shit. Sorry.
You don't like my phone, do you?
No. Your phone sucks, bro.
Don't care, bro.
Your phone sucks all the balls. Right. Okay, so here's the plan, my friends. We are going to get to Calais at around 20 to 11. We should be getting on the 11:20 shuttle, the shuttle, which should take us through Le Tunnel under Le Manche, and then we will be dropping Bear off in Northamptonshire, and I'll be driving to Liverpool. So I'm going to be driving till about 4 in the morning. I might do a live stream all the way to Liverpool, if nothing else, to keep myself awake. But if I am feeling fatigued, if I am feeling it's a bit too much, I will make sure that I stop and find someone's couch to crash on, or hotel room to sully. Always up for a couch to crash on. The sound is good enough for Facebook's captions to work, babe. Don't worry about it. Oh, thanks, Kat. Okay, the sound is good enough for Kat to understand. Hi, waiting for the ferry in Ghent. That's from Peter Jan. Oh, fantastic. That's brilliant. Catherine saying, come home to me. I've got to drop the van off. Sorry, Kat. I'm so sorry. I'm going to drop the van off. I will be back with you tomorrow. I promise. I'll be getting the train back to Durham in the morning when I wake up. Hi all. Hashtag think European. Yes, RC. Absolutely. Think European. Couldn't agree more. That's what the whole Brexit saga was about. They wanted us to feel like there were in fact 8 continents of the world. There was North America, South America, there was Africa, there's Asia, there's Australia, and there's Antarctic, and I've missed one. And Britain, just on its own. Europe and Britain. And Europe is one continent, and Britain is another continent. But it's a weird one because it's made up of an entirety of one island and a little bit of another. Bit weird, that. Anyway, it's not. We're European, and when our European brothers and sisters are in trouble, it's incumbent on us to offer our help and support. We just went over a river. What's that saying? I can't understand what Peter Jan's saying. That's so sweet. Sarah says, I'll try and stay up to chat. Thanks, Sarah.
It's an ocean.
I think it's a different language, mate. Please bear in mind that I'm driving and it's really hard to read the captions, and I'd rather not have to stare at it to try and work out what it is. So, first of all, try and keep what your messages short. And secondly, can you make them in English? Sorry, Peter. I feel bad now. Can you keep it in English? Because you're confusing me. But yeah,
It's not hard.
capitals are even better. It's okay. I won't think that you're shouting at me. Great work, guys, on delivering vital supplies to Ukraine. Thanks, RC. Thanks. I think the most, I mean, obviously there's the medical stuff, but the non-medical stuff, we delivered 50 chairs, 50 fold-out chairs to the border.
They were popular.
And yes, they were very, very popular because people have been standing in those queues. Because don't forget, you've got to queue twice. You've got to queue on the Ukrainian side. Well, you know, the Polish side of the Ukrainian border, if you know what I mean. So when you leave a country overland, you go through the passport check of your country that you're leaving, and they just generally stamp you out, and that's no problem. And then you have to wait to get through the passport check on the other side to get into the other country. And because the Polish authorities are being slightly dickish, so we say, they are making people wait for hours in the cold or the heat during the night or the day to get through. These are refugees, these are people who have been traumatized, who have fled their homes with everything they own, or everything they could just grab in the moments that they had to get ready to leave. I mean, you saw how much stuff that Alex and Alexandra had.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just small bags, wasn't it? It was hardly anything.
You have to leave really quick.
Yeah. So yeah, but it means that at the moment there's people queuing up for hours, and if you're elderly or you're pregnant or you're ill or you're injured, it's really not good. So what they can do on this side of the Polish border is they can actually go across into Ukraine and let people sit down, you know, put the seats out, so that people aren't standing with children and stuff for hours on end. Which is cool. So if they need any more, that's great. But I've already got a list of the next things to bring. So hopefully, as soon as possible, really, as soon as possible, we can get over there. Dusseldorf, something is superb. Okay, cool. Conservator, please don't read the chat while driving. Conservator, you literally just made me read a message saying, "Do not read this message."
So the irony of it.
Yeah. We need to get someone in the car who's got like supersonic sight. Do you know what I mean? I need glasses, so.
We'll bring a big tablet.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Get a big tablet.
Yeah, but the thing is, it'll clog up the whole windscreen. I'll be able to see any cars.
You get like holders to hold it on here, so you always can see the way.
Yeah. Conservators written a big thing. So are those reflectors reflective full emergency blankets useful? Reflective foil, they're small, light and crisp. Yes, Conservator, yes they are. We delivered over 100 of them to the border, so hopefully they'll get some to repackage and everything, but you can't just reuse those things to death. But the things that we need to take next time, so we took a defibrillator pack, but they didn't have any of the specific child pads for that defibrillator, so I might get another defibrillator and make sure we've got the child pads for it and some extra pads for that one and another one.
And extra batteries.
And extra batteries. I think it does over 1,000 charges, you know, over 1,000 shots. I'll look up on the, when I bought it, I was like checking on the different specs, you know, and I realised it probably wasn't rechargeable, but they don't make it very clear because I think they assume that anyone buying this has got medical knowledge of this sort of stuff, or you know, experience of using it before. Let Bear read the messages. They're too small, mate. They're like they come up on the screen like this. If anyone would like to buy me a magnifying glass for my birthday, you're very welcome to do so. look, we're going to Van Halen.
Oh, I know where he comes from.
Sorry?
I know where he comes from.
Put some Halen.
Fulham.
Doesn't Van mean like of?
Yeah.
Like O'Connor. It's O'Connor.
Of the family.
Fitz means son of in Old English. And Mac is the Scottish version. Mackie D's. I love the way McDonald's is like the most American thing ever, even though its name is Scottish. Its hamburgers come from Hamburg. Its French fries come from France. I suppose Coca-Cola's American. I'll give them that. But it's American as Coca-Cola. Although the cocaine in the Coca-Cola doesn't come from America, it comes from Colombia, my fans. Yes, I know it's not really cocaine, it's just the coca leaves with the cocaine taken out of it. But still, you start cocaine in it. So, yeah, what else do we need to talk about? How far are we from the French border?
No idea.
Oh, we're entering something. We've just entered the province of Vlaams, Brabant. So anyone wanting to follow us, we're now in Vlaams, Brabant. We are 54 kilometers from Brussels. French fries equals Belgium. Yeah, that's true, actually. The Belgians get very upset when you say that French fries are French.
Why call them French fries?
Americans eat chips, though. Just don't understand chips. You were telling me that story about when you're in America and you make chips for someone. When I was in Singapore once, there was I met a guy, I think he was Scottish actually, and we were having drinks, and he said to me, he was an older guy, I think he was ex-forces, and he says, when was the last time you had a portion of chips? And I said, oh God, it must have been like 2 years ago. I said, I've been travelling that long. And he said, wait there. So I waited. He goes off and comes back, and he gives me a portion of chips like you get in a Liverpool chippy, like a proper portion of chips with curry sauce, the proper Liverpool curry sauce. And I'm like, where the hell did you get this? So we're sitting outside in the pub, and I'm eating this portion of chips. And basically, there was a British guy who lives in Singapore, and he just really, really, really wanted a portion of chips. So he had the kit. He bought a chippy in Britain, and all the kit brought over, all the fryers and everything, brought over from Britain in a container. And then he set up his own chippy in Singapore. So you can get like proper chippy chips in Singapore. Cultural appropriation, I don't know. And before we start getting upset about British people chiseling away at the culture of Singapore, most Singaporeans are like Chinese. It doesn't really count. Singapore's a bit of a weird one because I don't think that anyone really lived there before it started to become a trading settlement.
It's a big Indian community.
Yeah, massive Indian community. Chinese, Indian. I don't think there's any. I mean, obviously there's Malayans, but I don't think there's any culturally. Is that the right word? Ethnic. I don't think there is a Singaporean ethnicity because you're either Malayan or you're Thai or Chinese or Indian.
You're an in-between place.
In-between place.
We're a limbo.
Yeah. Do you know what I don't like? I don't like it when you've got to fill out the form and I have to put that in white. I don't like that. I'd rather it was like European.
I thought they changed it.
No, it still says white British and then there's white other. It's like white. I don't feel like I have any cultural, like, ties.
Can we just put, this is other, can you just put underneath, just off pink?
It's just off pink, yeah.
When had drink, very red.
But I feel like the whole idea of whiteness only came about as a response to slavery. Basically, people wanting to differentiate themselves from the people who could be slaves. Because up till then, people said, how would you describe yourself? People say, well, I'm English, or I'm from Prussia, or I'm from Azerbaijan. I'm Azerbaijani. They wouldn't say I'm white because you have as much in common with someone from Azerbaijan as as you do with someone from neighbouring Iran. Do you know what I mean?
True.
But you'd call someone from Iran, you'd say, oh, well, they're Asian or they're Persian or they're not white. And I'm like, nah. And I have problems with the term Caucasian as well, because that means you come from the Caucasus, i.e., you've got dark hair, dark eyebrows, thick beard, and I don't. maybe Celtic could be one of the options.
Could be.
What do you reckon?
If you put everybody's options in, you'll have a list. About
Yeah, that's fine.
4 pages long.
That's only when you put your country in, you start typing in United Kingdom, and it's like there's a million bloody things we're going to be you to choose from. How about a Mongol? How about I just put down Mongol?
A Heinz 57.
Yeah. I'm a mutt. Anyway, right, we're getting a little bit off topic. Yeah, so the new day is that Vladimir Putin has changed tack and is now he's not invading. He's not attacking. He's not going to attack Kyiv as much. He didn't say not at all. It negotiators didn't say. He didn't say not at all. But they're generally saying we'll pull back from the west of Ukraine, but we're going to solidify our hold on the east and the south of Ukraine.
The Russia war on Ukraine makes a united Europe more vital than ever.
Absolutely right, RC.
Euro/EU/NATO membership is vital for all Europe, especially the British countries.
Yeah, I agree. Which is why I want Scotland to get independent so they can rejoin the EU and I can become Scottish.
2017 and thumbs up.
I'm going to have to.
I'm a Martian.
Work on my Scottish accent.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Duke
Vengeance. I'm a Martian.
The chances of anything coming from Mars was a million to one. They said.
There might be a difference between what Putin says and what he does. There usually is. Let's wait and see. I couldn't trust that man as far as I could throw him, and I'm not feeling energetic. Really, no.
Well, after his performance in Syria, where they had peace negotiations while he was flattening Homs and Aleppo, then,
Yeah.
The reason why Russia came in on the side of the Al-Assad family is because Al-Assad's money, the family money, is all in Russian banks. No one else will touch it. So not only did they supply bankroll Al-Assad to put down the rebellion against him, they also, they also funded his lavish lifestyle. And don't forget, Syria's only had 2 leaders in my lifetime. That's Al-Assad and Al-Assad's dad, which isn't good.
Easy for you to say.
What?
Al-Assad dad.
Al-Assad dad.
Because they agree quickly.
Al-Assad dad. Baghdad.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. The least dismissed us. Explains. I want I want there to be peace. I want the Russians to get the hell out of Ukraine, but I don't trust them. I don't trust them in them saying, "Oh, we're gonna," they didn't even say that they were going to stop. They just said they were going to reduce. The word they used was reduce. Oh yeah, so we saw footage today on Alexandra's phone of the Russians putting together a video of people pretending that they love Russia and they want to be part of Russia in Kherson, her capital, her city. And yeah, it's all fake. Basically, they brought in Russians from Crimea, people who regard themselves as Russian, and essentially they
Basically, what they've done is they've paid them to go on this video and say that they want the Russians to liberate them, and that they've always wanted it. So it's all bullshit. It really is. And the fighting, the way they've actually defended their country actually just goes and proves that this video that they're making is fanciful, to be at best. I honestly think Putin thinks we're that stupid. He really does. He thinks that everybody in the world is stupid and will believe everything he says. Well, no, we won't.
This is the plan. They want to solidify their gains that they've made in this war. But the thing is, the Crimean population historically, it is a very Russian area where people, quite a lot of them, identified as Russian. I know a guy from Crimea, and he always, even before this began, this was years before Putin invaded, he regarded himself as Russian, not Ukrainian. So the Crimean Peninsula is a slightly different kettle of fish, although I believe 100% the Crimean Peninsula belongs to Ukraine, because whether it was gifted to them by Stalin or Khrushchev or whoever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's where the boundaries were drawn, and the Budapest Treaty of '94, I think, stated that the US and Russia would respect those borders, would respect the independent sovereignty of Ukraine, not interfere in its politics, not invade and annex part of its country, and in return, Ukraine would give up its nuclear weapons. And we saw how well that ended for Russia, which possibly comes as a good excuse to keep Trident, although it does cost way more money than it should.
Way more.
I would just pretend. Just pretend that we've got it. I mean, we could never use it, can we? And America's got enough nuclear weapons to have our back.
But we also heard, I don't know if you guys can confirm it, we also heard that the Ukrainians have recaptured 2 of their cities. So I've been looking earlier today, but I couldn't really see anything. I saw something on the news this morning. The mayor of one of the cities have actually said that they've actually recaptured, but I can't remember which one it was. But last time I heard, I think it was actually Alexander that said it. They've actually recaptured 2 cities. So they ain't doing too bad. I have to admit, they've suffered so much, but they're still not giving in. They have my respect.
So we're going to keep this stream going until we get into France. When we get to France, we have to knock it off because basically we'll lose.
The only security guarantee for Ukraine that will work is being part of NATO. That treaty in the 1990s wasn't worth the paper it was written on, obviously.
But it never mentioned them not joining NATO. That was never put on paper. That was an oral agreement between 2 leaders who, both of whom are now dead. So neither of them can confirm it.
Hello, zombie.
I think it was George H.W. Bush and Boris Yeltsin. I think it was those 2. It might have been Clinton and him, but I'm pretty sure that it was the first Bush, and he had an oral agreement about NATO not expanding into East Germany. But then when Germany reunified, it became moot.
Crimea is not about history, but about the gas fields surrounding it. Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And Irpin, yeah, that was one of the villages, one of the cities. So, yeah, they had fierce fighting and they drove them back. So, well done, the Ukrainians. And yeah, hello, zombie. How you doing, guy? So, yeah.
I can't believe this is happening. I've just been running around telling everyone that I've been going nuts about this for so long, about Putin and telling people that he's a threat and he's a problem, and he's interfering in British politics, he's interfering in American politics, Brazilian politics, French politics. He bankrolled Marine Le Pen. Yeah, the daughter of the National Front leader, as if the National Front, the Nazis, the neo-Nazis, right? He bankrolled the daughter of neo-Nazis to run for president. And 1 in 3 French voters voted for her. Oh my God! He interfered in our politics, and as a result of what Putin did, we, British people like me, got dragged out of the EU against our will, and now we do not have the right to roam freely around Europe, to live anywhere we want, to marry whoever we want, to work wherever we want, to retire wherever we want. We have had those rights taken away by those posh bastards who went to Eton, who this won't affect. Brexit doesn't affect them because they've got the money to swan around in their yachts for the rest of their lives, anywhere they want, because they've got the money to pay for it. They've got the money to pay someone else to do their paperwork for them, for Christ's sake. We don't have that. Did I just go off on one?
Yeah, you did. Crimes in Crimea is full of Soviet military bases. It can't be allowed to fall into NATO hands. If Ukraine had kept those nukes, we'd all been there on holiday by now.
We'd all be what?
We'd all be there on holiday by now. Read that top one. Got to what? Got to impact a train.
Get a impact a train.
Be back later.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Cheers, Peter Jan. He's getting to them. It's difficult enough reading the tiny, tiny letters on the screen. When they're in a different language. It's like,
right at the top, they're hidden behind that little
UK for Ukraine.
Yeah.
I was very close to it.
Oh, yeah, then. Ukraine's a sovereign nation. It's not up to Russia to decide whether they join NATO or not. Yeah, I fully agree. Correct. It isn't up to Russia. They should have left Ukraine alone. We all agree with that one.
Well, this idea. So one of my friends who I was talking to was trying to justify it a little bit. He said, the Ukrainians, why were they saying they were going to join NATO? There's a thing called realpolitik, which is dealing with the reality of politics and stuff. And I'm like, but either sovereignty matters or it doesn't. It's as simple as that. And Russia has continuously violated other countries' sovereignty. Not only ours when it interfered in the Brexit referendum, which obviously it got away with scot-free. Not only ours when it murdered one of our citizens on our soil, which it got away with scot-free. When it killed Alexander Litvinenko by poisoning him with bloody radioactive sushi with polonium in it, for Christ's sake. They got away with that. They got away with the invasion of Georgia. They got away with annexing a large chunk of Moldova. It might not look like a big load of land, but Moldova is a very small country. So the Transnistria area, which still has a freaking hammer and sickle on its flag, for Christ's sake, is a bit of an anomaly. But in a way, it's not, because it's part of Putin's plan to try and claw back what he can of the former USSR. And that is imperialism. And these left-wingers, like another angry voice today, which is a left-wing organisation, they're not left-wing actually, they're Corbynites. They're a Corbynite organisation. Put out a tweet about criticising, I think, Keir Starmer, over the appointment of Lebedev to our House of Lords. And you're like, how thick are you guys? Seriously? It's Keir Starmer's fault because he sent a text of congratulations. No one's seen a copy of, but he definitely sent a text of congratulations. It's a bit different from appointing him as a lawmaker for life in the United Kingdom for life after the security services of the United Kingdom tells explicitly the Prime Minister not to make him a lawmaker in Britain for life. We cannot get rid of this guy. We can't unelect him because he was never elected. We can't get him out by voting somebody else in. He's there now for the next 50, 60, 70 years, however long the abnormally looking weirdo lives. It looks like he's made of wax. Wax Pluto. Anyway. Another angry voice, annoyed sigh, indeed. What aboutery alert, indeed. What aboutery. Yeah, but what about Keir Starmer? He sent a text message. Well, he might have done. I don't know. He might. Lebedev might be lying, but let's just take Lebedev's word for it. Boris Johnson getting away with his Partygate at the moment. Russia and incidents and stuff. But yeah, I feel like I've been screaming into the wind for a very long time about this, and I guess it's like having a friend or a family member who's ill, and you know what's going to happen, and at the same time you don't want it to happen, and therefore when it does happen, there's a part of you that's a little bit surprised that it did actually happen. So you're hoping against hope that it wouldn't. That's how I feel now about Ukraine, because Putin made it very, very clear that this is what he intended to do. And then you had the usual suspects, the usual gobshites like Farage and stuff, saying, "Oh no, he's just surrounded this country with, guns and tanks and armaments and rockets and things." But he didn't really. He didn't mean to use them. It's just a show of strength. Meanwhile, it's NATO that are being the unreasonable ones. It's NATO that are surrounding Russia with all of those, non-NATO troops in China, Mongolia, North Korea, Kazakhstan, Georgia. Yeah, let's really get up Putin's nose there. What are they saying?
The far left are so weird.
They are the weirdest.
I mean, I am part of the Labour left, but I'm not in support of. I missed that.
It just went off the bottom.
Just went off the bottom.
Sorry, Duke Vengeance, we missed you, son. Missed you. We'll get it back.
Was it RC? Probably not as much as some Tories, like Johnson. As there was, but Conservatory, you like Boris? Question mark.
What? I like Boris.
No, he said he's got RC probably not as much as some Tories. Then above it, he's got like Johnson. I think he means like.
Yeah.
And then someone's put Conservator. Do you like Boris? Question mark.
Can you stand up?
Sorry.
I'm manoeuvring. I don't want to be getting off this motorway. I don't like crossing a solid white line, but I was a bit worried that I was going to get chucked off the motorway.
The whole Tory party are owned by Russia.
Yeah, they are. That's £2.3 million donated to the Tory party that we know of. Don't tell me that's the whole amount, because it certainly isn't. It most certainly isn't. Oh. I'll tell you what, though. Next time we do this, I think we should take a bit more time over it and be a little less rushed, because it's really tiring.
Yeah, I agree with that. Don't want to be sleeping for a week. Probably do not disturb.
I'm going to get home at 4. I'm going to have 3 hours kip, and then I'll be up again. So my mum can drop me at the train station on the way to work.
got work tomorrow.
It's just like being on the Odyssey expedition again. It's okay, I got this. I did this like pretty much every day for 4 years. But like I say, when we get to the UK, after I drop Bear off, if I am feeling fatigued, I will stop. I will stop. I'm not gonna, if I feel it's too much, I will pack in. But annoyingly, in the UK, you can't just pull into a service station and services, it's that motorway, and have a clip in your car, because apparently that's illegal or something for no reason whatsoever. And it means that if you try to do that, someone will give you a fine. You'll get a nice fine for parking, guy, for like 40 quid. How dare you not fall asleep at the wheel and kill people? What you should have done is kept driving. It's quite fun, this vehicle, because it comes up with take a rest, doesn't it, after 3 hours of driving?
It does.
It shows you a little cup of coffee, and it says take a rest. Take a load off, Sally. There's an EU flag. My avatar. There's an EU flag on my avatar. The far left and Corbyn went so batshit mad, they somehow came to be the same conclusion as Nigel Farage. NATO bad, Russia good. WTF. Yeah, Duke, I mean, they talk about the political spectrum. In my opinion, it's more of a horseshoe, or even, dare I say it, a circle. If you think about the regimes of Stalin and Hitler, there was a cigarette paper width of difference between those two totalitarian regimes, which wanted to not only police what job you did, what friends you hung out with, what art you enjoyed, how you had sex, but they also wanted to police your thoughts. And how dare you have thoughts that are different from anybody else, that don't hurt anyone. This is the big difference that people on the right who whinge about woke culture and cancellation culture don't seem to understand. It's not about being able to say what you like. To a certain extent, you can say what you like, but what they really want is to say what they like without any consequences. And I'm sorry, there are always consequences, cause and effect. If you say something massively twatty on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, don't be surprised if lots of people boycott you and say, I don't want this person coming and speaking at this event in this privately owned space. I don't want this person selling books in my bookshop. I don't want this person for their tweets to appear on my timeline. When you block someone, it's not a celebration of censorship. It's a celebration of choice. It's a celebration of capitalism, if you want to believe that. It really is. Because that's what capitalism is all about, isn't it? Choice. Being able to make your own decisions on what you consume. But no, the communists like Nigel Farage, they'll hate me calling them that, but they are. They want everyone to be exactly like them. They want everyone to be a little Nigel Farage. Whoa, look at that plane! Whoa, plane just went over the motorway into the IKEA side. No, we must be very close to a motorway. Antwerp. I think we're at Antwerp Airport, ladies and gentlemen. That's the motorway? I meant airport.
I think everybody knew what you meant.
Okay, good. Phew. Sorry, just a massive plane.
We're knackered. We're just going to talk about anything then. I hate you.
I absolutely despise the man. I think I hated him more than any other politician because he was supposed to be on our side, and yet he was not. He couldn't make a decision. He was indecisive. He was encapsulation of everything I hate about the left, everything that's wrong with the left, the tribalism, the anti-Semitism. I mean, and then the people saying, "Oh, there was no anti-Semitism," and I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me?" There were two MPs in Liverpool. We only have 4 MPs. 2 of them, half of them were Jewish, and they both left the party because of anti-Semitism. Now, Ask yourself, just have a thing, little thought experiment. If 2 black MPs left the party because they felt that the leadership were not doing enough to fight racism directed towards them, would anyone be defending the leader and saying, oh no? Imagine Starmer did that. Imagine 2 black MPs left because they said that Starmer wasn't doing enough to fight racism in the Labour Party. Another angry voice, and Corbyn and all these knobheads, they will be up in arms. Actually, in a way, quite rightly, they'll be up in arms. Oh my God, I can't see that map at all. It's got too many freaking labels on it. Am I going straight off? Yeah. Turning off? No, what is going on here?
On the right one.
Google. You don't need to put the name of the road 1,000 times on the same road, okay? I can't get off the motorway. You need to say it once. Does this all the time, you know, because like going up the motorway and it'll say like M62, well, M6.
You're on the right road.
Okay. That is just a cluster F at the bottom, isn't it?
That's a lot.
I'd like to show you what's on Bear's phone at the moment, because he's got the map on his phone next to the camera here. It's an absolute bloody mess. I've got all these junctions going off everywhere. It's like Spaghetti Junction here. It is like Spaghetti Junction. Well,
it is actually.
This is where all the roads meet.
It's like about 15 lanes.
There's about 15 lanes.
Wow.
I've been
in America.
And there's roadworks, so they've got temporary lanes which are demarcated by a yellow line.
There's a lot of roads blocked off and no entry, so we've got loads of no entry signs, all covering the map, so you can just about see where our roads go.
How am I supposed to know which road I'm supposed to be on there? You just can't.
No, you're on the right one.
Why is it pulled out so far? Normally it's like zoomed in quite a lot. That's giving me like 7 miles of road ahead of it.
That's why it doesn't until you're right on top of it. And it zooms in.
Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, stay on the same road. Right. Anyway, so yeah, I'm glad you agree with me on Corbyn. I think he was a Leaver. You know, a week before the referendum, half of all Labour voters polled didn't know whether Labour was for or against state media. That is a lack of leadership.
Trouble with Corbyn, he was a public school boy socialist.
Yeah. He
was playing at it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't know socialism if he jumped up and hit him in the face with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
While shouting, socialism. He wouldn't know. He just total waste of space.
Everyone says, oh, he's the most left-wing leader we've ever had. He gave us hope. Read the manifesto. Read the 2017 manifesto and show me the bit where it says he's going to get rid of tuition fees. I'll save you the bother. It's not there. He said he was going to reduce tuition fees by 1/3. Oh, whoop-de-doo. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. Education should be a right, not a privilege for the rich. And then, did he say he was going to bring in universal basic income? Did he, hell? Did he say that he was going to decriminalise, or even better, legalise drugs so that people who are, addicted to these substances could get the help they need instead of being criminalised? Did he fook? I don't think in the 2017 election manifesto he even promised to nationalise anything. Isn't that the first thing that you do as a socialist leader? You say, right, first of all, the trains. We're going to renationalise the trains. And how about the gas companies? How about the electricity companies? Could be renationalised. Anything that's a natural monopoly should be something that is renationalised, as far as I'm concerned. So the phones, I don't mind. I don't mind that there's different mobile phone companies. That's sound. I don't care, because there's lots of there's competition there. That's
cheap vengeance. I read the anti-Semitism report. I wasn't very amused, and Corbyn denied it was happening in the party. Well, yeah. He did all the time.
Well, I've said this before on my podcast, but I actually filmed myself at the behest of my friends who asked me to. Jack Dart asked me to. Femi asked me to. A few others, people in the Remain movement asked me, Matt Galsworthy, to do a video, basically telling people to vote strategically. Wherever they were, vote strategically. So I shot the video. I scripted the video. I shot the video, and I was in the middle of editing it, I think, when Corbyn did that car crash interview with Andrew Neil, in which Andrew Neil, who I hate and is a slug, privately educated slug, of course, he asked Corbyn if he would apologise for the hurt that had been caused. The hurt, not the anti-Semitism. He wasn't accusing him of being anti-Semite, just the hurt that had been caused. And Corbyn refused to apologise, and I just deleted the file. I thought, I can't do this. How can I look my Jewish friends in the eye and say, you know, vote for this guy who obviously has a massive hate bone of you people? So yeah, we've covered this ground a lot, and it's not made me many friends, I have to say. But another thing that they just didn't seem to understand is just how unpopular who Corbyn was. I still keep trying to explain this to people. He was the most unpopular leader of a major Democratic Party in the world. In the world. He was more unpopular than Trump. You know how unpopular Boris Johnson's got over Partygate and everything? Yeah? And the PPE contracts and all the other shit he's done.
Yeah.
His unpopularity has still not reached the lows of Corbyn's. I think at the most, Boris Johnson's gone down to like 38%. Minus 38% is his approval ratings.
And his brother's a Looney Tune as well.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, my God, it must run in the family. It really
Well,
must.
yeah, well, you know. Him and his brother are not particularly clever people. They're not erudite. They can't make decisions. I don't know. They seem to inhabit a different planet. Do you remember that episode of Red Dwarf, the polymorph, where it sucked out people's emotions? And Jimmer ended up with the pipe and the t-shirt on saying, give Keisha a chance. And when they were trying to like suss out how to destroy this polymorph, he said, I think we should make a committee, the Committee for the Liberation and Integration of Terrifying Organisms, and their rehabilitation into society. Unfortunately, the acronym is clitoris. and meanwhile, Lister's there, who says, I think we should just get out there and twat it. And I'm very much a Lister. You know, in these situations, make a decision and stand by your decision. Okay? If your decision turns out to be the wrong one, you apologise and say, sorry, that was the wrong decision. I will respect that so much more than someone like Corbyn, someone like Johnson, who cannot make a decision. They prevaricate, I can't say that word, forget it. They sit on the fence. They leave it till the last possible moment to make a decision, almost when the decision's made for them. And then they say, oh yeah, that's what I intended to do all along.
A little bit off the subject.
Yeah.
Red Dwarf actually changed my belief system.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you a pantheist?
I'm a pantheist. No, I'm
not a fine pantheist.
I'm a naturalistic pantheist. I'm a pagan. I have been for 23 years now. Mainly because I'm Italian, so we grew up being Roman Catholics and heavily Catholics. And at the age of 15, I didn't want to go to church. I thought it was critical, so I didn't. And then when I lost my wife, Kathy, way back in 1998 to cancer, a brain tumour, and I always was told if you truly believed, if you truly needed him, you could ask and he'd help. And he never did. Didn't. And I begged, I pleaded, I really did. I was on my hands and knees, wanting his help, and it wasn't there. So I just thought, you're not there anymore. And after she died, I kind of went up the deep end, and then I was watching Red Dwarf, and I was just in the wind a bit, because you don't believe in anything, then what's the point? You have to believe in something, even if it's yourself. And I was watching Red Dwarf, and it was an episode where Crichton was going to be replaced by a new version. And he'd have to switch himself off, effectively killing himself. So Lister, being the good person that he was, went, well, I'd be really pissed off. And he goes, no, it's good, it's all good. He goes, why is it all good? He goes, I go to Silicon Heaven. And he went, you go where? He goes, Silicon Heaven. He goes, it don't exist.
Where do all the toasters go?
He says, what do you mean it doesn't exist? He went, it doesn't exist. He goes, where do all the calculators go? And he goes, nowhere. He goes, what about the toasters? He goes, nowhere. It just stopped working. And he went, yeah, but you're a pantheist, aren't you? He goes, yeah, but I'm not a frying pantheist. At this point, I didn't know what a pantheist was, and I looked it up, and I looked at the World Pantheist movement, and I liked what they were saying. And I looked more into it, and it got me looking into paganism a lot more. And I liked the belief structure behind it, and it's a belief. It's not a religion, but it's a belief, about the continuation protection of life, everything that is good in the world. It's one of these things that it's more involved than that. And I like pantheism, but I like the naturalistic pantheist side of things. So that's been me for 23 years, and I'm quite happy with it. It gives me a lot of inner peace. But watching Red Dwarf changed my belief system. Red Dwarf. There you go.
So
Totally useless piece of info for you guys,
I
but
think that's great. Yeah, it's always been my sort of problem with it all.
Great job, lads. Get more proof that it's the people who get things done while governments, I can't see the rest.
No one ever made a statue to a committee. Not that I want a statue. I don't want that. But yeah, I appreciate decisiveness, and even if that decision turns out to be wrong, as long as the person says, "Okay, we mucked up, we've learned from our mistakes, and now we're going to do this," I really appreciate that. I find myself getting very, very frustrated with people who just talk all the time.
Number 3, my version of God is unlimited. Smoke me a kipper.
Smoke me a kipper. I'll be back for breakfast.
I like that one. Yeah.
When I ran for Parliament in 2017, I had a picture of me on my island, and it said, "Smoke me a kipper. I'll be back for Brexit." Anyway, I thought it was funny. No one else did. Only got 2 votes, and one of them was my mum. Anyway,
Your mum loves you.
yeah, my mum's great. I told her, I said, "This is all your fault, Mum. If you weren't such a nice person, I wouldn't have got your nice genes, and I'd just be, sitting at home playing video games instead of doing this." So yeah,
Big post.
I got to say as well, I grew up as, my parents weren't particularly religious, but I was a choir boy in my local church. And so I grew up in I went to a CFE school. No, I went to a Catholic school actually. I was very little, and then I went to a CFE school because I come from Liverpool, and we just mix and match. My mum is actually baptised in both faiths. She's baptised as a CFE and Catholic.
Oh, right.
So she's
No conflict there.
quids in for getting into heaven. But yeah, did you hear can I tell a Holocaust joke? Well, listen to it, and then you'll see if it's appropriate to put out on a live stream. So the joke is that a Holocaust survivor dies of old age and goes to heaven, and he tells God this really, really inappropriate Holocaust joke, and God says, "I find that really offensive. I don't find it funny at all." And the old Holocaust survivor says, "Well, I guess you have to be there."
I can hear the tumbleweed.
That was not supposed to be a funny joke. It's supposed to be like
To make it a point.
to make a point. Yeah, where was he? Where was he? That was what he did to his chosen people. God knows what he's got down for me. But I read a really good, and I really wish I could find out where I read this, because it was a brilliant way of putting it. And it was talking about Pascal's wager. Pascal's wager, for those of you that don't know it, is that he believed that it was better to believe, because then if you're wrong, it doesn't matter, and if you're right, you get to go to heaven. So mathematically, you're better off being a believer, if you thought of it scientifically. In the 1970s, a philosopher came up with a rebuttal to this. And what he spoke about was the 4 different types of gods that could possibly exist. You had the atheist god, which doesn't exist. So whether you believe or not, it doesn't make any difference. Then you have the deist god, which is the god that people like Thomas Jefferson believed in, probably Charles Darwin believed in, which is a God that lit the blue touch paper of the universe, just got everything in motion, and then doesn't interfere in everyday life. You know, it's not an interventionist God. Again, the believer and the unbeliever are in exactly the same boat. Then you've got the third type of God, which is a just God, a God of eternal justice. And you couldn't imagine a just God saying to someone who had given their lives selflessly to charity, you wouldn't expect a just God to say, I'm going to make you burn in hell for eternity because you didn't believe in me. After that person had led a really good life and helped lots of people and was beloved by everybody who knew them. A just God wouldn't send them to eternal damnation, right? Similarly, a believer in God who was a serial killer would end up in hell, right? In a just God, would end up in hell. So again, the believer and the non-believer are in the same boat. In fact, in that situation, it is better to live a good life because then if heaven does exist, you're guaranteed a space in it. However, most of the world's religions do not believe in just gods. They believe in unjust gods. And if you don't believe me, read the Bible, read the Quran, read the Torah, read any of these religious manuscripts. Generally speaking, the gods involved are a little bit like the superheroes in The Boys. They've got a lot of power and they don't always use it for good, right? In the case of the unjust God, of course, yes, there will be that wonderful, lovely person who everyone loved and adored, who did loads of work for charity, who gets to heaven and the God says, you didn't believe in me, you dickhead, pulls the trapdoor open and the guy, disappears off to hell. However, the absolutely universally adored Christian, or believer, let's say believer, who goes up to heaven and says, I have lived my whole life by your teachings, I have given to the poor, I have given to the needy, I've donated a kidney, I've done all these wonderful things, and I've believed in you, and I've prayed on my knees to you every day. What that believer is forgetting is that it's an unjust God, a capricious God who might just decide to pull the lever anyway. Again, if you're dealing with an unjust God, there's nothing in it. Whether you're a believer or an unbeliever, it's not going to make any difference. So, it was argued it's better not to believe because it doesn't make any difference anyway at the end of the day, and it's a big waste of time. However, since people have stopped going to church, gone on the internet, people have started believing absolute nonsense. So that's a problem. We need to build communities without necessarily forcing people to go to church in order to do it.
You see, personal view, I don't think he's there, to be honest, in my own experience, but that's just my experience. And religion, just as politics and everything else, is subjective and emotive, all depending on your point of view. Now, as a pagan, and all pagans are the same, if whatever you believe in gives you inner peace, makes you feel as though you're part of something bigger than yourself, and makes you believe that you're doing something worthwhile, then we, as pagans, will say, hail and welcome, and we'll greet you as friends. And we don't pass judgment, we don't care. If it gives you inner peace, if it makes you feel as though you're part of something that's bigger than yourself, then we're happy for you, okay? Just doesn't mean that I want or I believe in it. But if you believe in it, I'm happy for you. And that's how I look at it. And like I said, people look at me and go, well, I don't believe in what you gobbledygook. Well, that's fine. If that's what you believe, then that's what you believe. I'm never going to put you down for it. For me believing in what I believe in, it gives me inner peace. It makes me feel calm, and it makes me feel as though I am part of something bigger. And I'm happy with that. And with everybody else, good on you. But yeah, that's just the way it is. I mean, you always get these people that you talk about the religion, you ask about it, they get very defensive. And the way I look at it is, this is just me, not speaking on behalf of anybody else, just me. I can think to myself that, why do you have to defend your religion? If you truly believe in what you believe, why do you have to defend it? Because you believe in it. You don't have to defend it. There's no need to defend it. If you truly believe in it, then why are you defending it? Which then kind of, the way I think about it, the way it rolls about in my head, and trust me, you don't want to be up there. I kind of think to myself then, if you truly believe, why are you defending it? You should just believe. And it doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks. Me, personally speaking, they can think what they like about me. I don't give a toss. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, sorry about that, but can't help it. I'll just carry on. But you know what? Whatever you believe in, I respect you.
So I've actually mellowed in my old age. Like when I was younger, I was very militant, and I would get pretty bullshit on people who I believed nonsense things, and I would tell them. And for 4 years, I had a very religious girlfriend, a very, very religious girlfriend. And, we're still friends to this day. However, I think she taught me to be a little bit more tolerant of people's personal beliefs for the reasons that Bear just illustrated there of if it gives them inner peace, if it makes them happy. Where I draw the line is if they're hurting someone else, if they are bullying a community of people or an individual, if they are committing abuse, if they are hurting people, if they are telling other people that they're living their lives incorrectly, that they shouldn't be going out with that person, or they shouldn't be in love with that person, or they shouldn't be having sex in that specific way, that's when it starts to really boil my blood. And that isn't just exclusive to religion. Politics makes people do that as well. And other things like your geographical location that you were born in makes people do that as well. People are very tribal. So it's not just religion's fault that happens. But what the problem with religion is, it gives the meatheads who want to hate, it gives them an excuse, it gives them an out to say, no, I'm not doing a bad thing here where they're murdering someone because this person doesn't deserve to live, because that's what it says in my interpretation of my holy book. And this is a problem. Holy books written in the goddamn Bronze Age are pretty open to interpretation, considering they were written 7 languages ago and translated like Chinese whispers again and again out of fragments of papyrus that were found in a desert in a clay jar 2,000 years ago. That's the problem. But still, if people want to believe, I think it's great. I think, they can do it. I think that's fair enough. Yeah. Fair's like a book, right? Oh, yes, the gents. Oh, we got a super chat. Woo! Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, Wayne. Say Liverpool are the best team on Merseyside. Pounds, you want me to say that? We'll say that Liverpool are the best club in Merseyside, okay? £200 to our Ukraine appeal, Wayne. Everton. Wayne knows that.
Oh, is that what he's like?
He's a Tottenham supporter, or Chelsea, or Arsenal, or one of those southern softies. Shandy drinkers, mate. Shandy drinkers to a man.
I thought all footballers were softies.
They are. How come there are so few gay people in football? Like, statistically, 1 in 10 people are gay. And yet there's thousands of footballers, and like none of them are gay. Is that a bit weird?
I don't know, I suspect some of them are.
Oh yes. But why can't they just be open about it? Is the toxic masculinity, toxic heterosexuality still a massive thing in football? And in other sports, I guess. How's rugby for people who are out?
They've got 2.
I just assume that everyone who plays rugby is a bit, a bit fruity. Doesn't mind it up. As Sergeant Wilson would say. Is it Sergeant Wilson? Said he didn't like Bob in Dad's army.
They don't like it up. No, it's Corporal Wilson.
Corporal Jones.
Corporal Jones.
That's it.
They don't like it up. That pussy. They don't like it up.
Don't like him up.
They like it up. They don't like it up.
How'd they get away with that on a primetime television show? Children could have been watching.
It was the 70s stuff. Yeah. Totally different era.
Yeah. You know, like, proper homophobes really fascinate me because it's like, why are they so bothered? What difference does it make to their life?
It kind of makes you wonder whether they secretly...
Well, yeah, get a few drinks inside and find out. But it is funny, like, I love that expression, they're so far in the closet, they're in Narnia. But, you know, it's like, they seriously think that, like, because we legalize gay marriage, it means that they will have to marry a man. And you're like, if you don't agree with gay marriage, don't marry someone of the same sex. What? Why would you stop other people doing it? Now, I always remember this when I was part of Manchester University debating team back in my youth. I was on the debating panel with a guy who's a slightly famous celebrity now. I try not to name drop him too much, but you know, we're still mates, still keep in touch and everything. And I always remember, and he's gay. He's gay. He's been gay since forever. I mean, I think he had a pink. I think he had a. Anyway, I think he had a yellow Jeep that he couldn't drive. It was a terrible, terrible driver. Anyway, so in a debate, in the university-style debate or whatever it is, debating rules, you are given a motion, and the motion is this house believes ... and it will be something vague. So in this case, it was this house believes love conquers all, and you have the proposition who have 5 minutes to come up with some ideas for what to say. They stand up, and then you have the opposition who have to oppose whatever they're proposing, whether you personally believe it or not. And the proposition team had on it whoever, some people, and my friend was on the opposition team. My gay friend was on the opposition team, and the proposition stood up and said we should legalize gay marriage. This is back in the 90s, right? And that is a hard one to argue against, especially if you're gay. But my friend, being absolutely awesome that he is, he stood up and he turned the debate. He pivoted, and he said, "This side of the debate believes that gay marriage should remain illegal because all marriage should be illegal." And then he came up with all these reasons why marriage was a terrible idea. And it absolutely kippered the other side because they had all their notes prepared to defend gay marriage, and they had another 3 speakers to go. And now they had to pivot and change what they were arguing to say that we should protect the institution of marriage. I thought that was very clever. If you're watching, Rob, good job. Anyway, who else we got here? I wish Beckham was gay. Well.
Random.
Well, no, I think David quite fancies it. But yeah, you were telling me about someone who was upset that Ricky Martin was gay last night. We were playing Ricky Martin tunes last night.
Oh.
We had Chris Rossi's motorbike disco hour on the radio. And,
I like all sorts of music. It blows. Seriously, the whole hardcore biker image goes out the window. Especially with me. I don't care.
I really want to see a video, right? You need to make a video of you and your biker mates doing a choreographed dance to Ricky Martin. That would be so awesome. That would take the internet by storm.
But anyway, my sister.
What's your sister?
Yeah. My sister loved Ricky Martin. Absolutely adored. And then he came officially, because most people have the suspicions about him. And then he officially came out, showed his partner, and said he was in love. Oh, my sister cried.
What the hell? She cried.
And I'm looking at her, and I went, yeah, because like you had some chance with him. Even if he was, if he was straight, you'd really have a chance with him. And she went, yeah, well, suppose you would. And I went, with you fancy went, oh yeah, me and Eva Mendes, just like that. Yeah, no worries. But she really did. I'm sitting there going, get over yourself.
But she cried if he was heterosexual and got married to a woman.
Probably.
I go, oh, he's got married. That's it. He's not. Because that was a big thing with boy bands, wasn't it? In the 90s, they couldn't say they had the girlfriend or, heaven forbid, the boyfriend. They could never tell. They could never say that on the Saturday morning TV shows they were.
I know my auntie was gutted when she found out Lisa Vandross was.
I was gutted when it turned out Liv Archie was gay. Especially after he sued the Daily Mirror for millions of pounds for saying he was gay. When he was.
I think everybody knew he was. Worst kept secret going.
I know, but back then, I mean, it could really ruin people's career. There's a song on the REM album called on the Automatic for the People REM album called Monty Got a Raw Deal, and it's about Montgomery Clift,
yeah.
Who was a brilliant young actor. He was in the movie Red River with John Wayne, which is a retelling of Mutiny on the Bounty, but it takes place on a cattle drive to Wyoming. It's a really, really good film.
I know it.
Do you know it? It's got some great lines. It's got John Wayne just swaggering everywhere. So someone puts their hand up and says they want to quit, and so he shoots them dead, and then turns around to everyone else. He goes, shoots someone else. And he goes, right, anyone else want to quit? And it's like, ah! And he goes, saddle up, people. We've got quitters to bury. There's only two things better than a Colt 45, and that's a watch from Switzerland or a woman from anywhere. Anyway, Montgomery Clift, he was outed by one of these like gossipy magazines in the 1950s, and he never really worked again in Hollywood as a result of him being outed. Whereas James Dean, he died before he was outed. James Dean was gay. I mean, a lot of the people that we think of now as sort of stars of the silver screen, James Dean was, yeah. So it was, if you want to see something hilarious, well, it shouldn't be hilarious, but it kind of is. Cary Grant, Archibald Leach from Bristol. Cary Grant was either gay or bisexual.
He's bisexual.
And he had a friend that he lived with, a male friend that he lived with, for many years in the late 30s and the beginning of the 40s. And there were these rumors swirling around that they were actually lovers. And so to like dissuade people of that opinion, they agreed to do a photo shoot, a photo story for like, I don't know, Time magazine or one of these magazines they had back then. And it was about their bachelor lives. And it had all these pictures of Cary Grant and his friend, who was another actor, I forget his name. And they're like in these little skimpy shorts, like hot pants, like hanging out, like playing sports and stuff. Half naked in a swimming pool. I was like, if you were trying to prove to the world that you weren't gay, why would you agree to this photo shoot, Cary? It was just a bit weird.
You're an amazing sense of humour.
Cary Grant, I love him. Absolutely love him.
Because he was always quite private about his life. And a reporter once sent him a telegram. And on it, it said, how old, do you know how old he was? It said, how old Cary Grant? And Cary Grant sent one back saying, oh, Cary Grant, fine, thank you. How are you? That was brilliant. A brilliant answer.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a guy, I really liked him. He had a very troubled upbringing, you know. His mother was sent to a what would have been called at the time a lunatic asylum, like the turn of the century, and he was only like 10 or 11 years old. Don't call me when.
Oh, bless you, Mum.
I know it's my mum. My mum just called. She'll call again now because it went to turn off. Mum, I'm doing a live show. Please don't call me. Anyway, what's about Cary Grant? Oh yeah, his mum was institutionalized, right? And his dad told him that she was dead. And it wasn't until like the 1930s, I think. So she was in an institution for like 20 years before Cary Grant found out what really happened to her and went back to Britain and got her out. That's some unbelievable stuff. But like he had quite a a lot of those actors in the day, even the posh sounding ones like Cary Grant, they came from very little. Like Charlie Chaplin's Little Tramp look came from the fact that when he was young, he was homeless. He was a homeless child living on the streets in like the 1890s or whatever it was. And I think that's when he took to performing for people, to make money, doing
That's why he made the film, The Kid.
Yes.
It was very.
Although didn't he end up marrying the girl out of The Kid, and it was all a bit wrong?
I can't remember.
I
know he got sued a few times. Was it alimony or so-called child? But it was proven that it wasn't. But he ended up paying her off, even though he knew it wasn't. He paid her off because he felt sorry for the child, I think.
Oh wow!
Which is what he was.
He's a lovely guy.
He's a very complicated guy. You read his biography, he's a really complicated guy.
He was lovely. I mean, he was the guy who made The Great Potato, which is one of my favourite sort of films of that era. And he does that brilliant speech at the end, because it's all obviously a satire about the Nazis. And he ended up being rounded up as a communist and hounded out of the country. Well, sorry, not rounded up as a communist, sort of outed as a communist, which he wasn't. And he never made a movie again, and he went to live in Switzerland.
Duke Benjamin says, I don't get why it's anyone's business what two people of the same sex get up to. So what if the people are gay? Mind your own business, you know as you get.
Well, exactly. But as long as no one's hurt, and as long as people are happy, if you want to make something illegal, that makes people unhappy and causes strife, make it illegal to fall in love with the wrong person. Come on, make that illegal.
Are you driving with large Legrand? What? I have no idea what that is.
Large Legrand.
Yeah. Are you driving with large Legrand?
With Largo Legrand.
Oh, Largo Legrand.
It's a Monkey Island reference, because on Twitch it says I'm playing Monkey Island. I'm sorry, I still haven't corrected the subtitle to say that I'm not playing Monkey Island, and I'm just having a discussion. Sorry, if you're just joining us on Twitch, hello, I'm Graham. This is Chris. We've just been to the Ukrainian border to show us supplies, pick up a couple of refugees, take them to where they need to go, and we're now heading back to the UK. So that's what we're doing. But thank you for the Monkey Island reference. Very much appreciated. Look behind you, a three-headed monkey. Brilliant. Right then. Oh.
You really must get that title changed.
I know.
Seriously.
Well, I haven't used my Twitch for a while. I'll send it off, but I want to turn it back on again. I want to get back into doing a games night. On a certain night a week, I just play a game for 2 hours and talk politics.
I've still got on my PC. I've still got what's it? Eve Online and World of Warcraft.
Oh, cool.
And those are the only two I ever used to play. But you've got way too technical. So
well, I tend to I try and not play video games because I have a I don't know what you call it. I don't think it's a problem. I just think it's a certain aspect of my personality. Is I hate things that are incomplete. So if I'm playing Pokemon, I've got to get them all. If I'm playing Grand Theft Auto, I have to get 100% completed, find all of the secrets, do all of the stunts, do all of the missions, and it needs to say 100%, or I can't put it down. I can't walk away from it, and it'll honestly keep me awake at night. That's how bad I get about it. So I try not to play video games for that very reason, because I come.
So what I'm hearing is I've got OCD helping.
I don't think it's as OCD as kind of having to do certain things ritualistically in a certain order in order to feel at peace. But I do think there's a little bit of it in that whole thing of, if I have a collection of something, it needs to be a complete collection, and if it isn't, I feel a little bit irked. So if I'd gone to every country but one in the world, that one country that I didn't get to would would bother me, you know, in the back of my head somewhere.
No, I liked World of Warcraft besides missions. You did finish them.
Yeah.
There was a time limit on a lot of them. So yeah, it was
a well put together game.
It was a really well put together. And I did like it, but I came out of it just basically work schedule and other things got in the way and never really went back to it. I keep saying I will, but never did.
David saying he's the only gay in the village. What, you're the only gay in Malaga? Come on, David.
Fuck
Come
off.
on. You're not the only gay in Malaga.
I've been to Malaga. There's no way you're the only gay in Malaga.
God, Malaga's a good weekend. What can I say? Anyway.
I've been there twice, didn't remember the ones.
Yeah. I have the LucasArts game, Monkey Island, but they can take days, weeks to play. I love them. Yeah. Huge LucasArts fan. I mean, I was that age at the right time to play Maniac Mansion, Zack McCracken, Monkey Island, Loom, Monkey Island 2, Sam and Max, Full Throttle, like that. Day of the Tentacle, what a game. It all kind of culminated in the greatest video game ever made, ever, as far as I'm concerned, which is Grim Fandango, which is just a phenomenal bit of making a game.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Grim Fandango is.
I mean, with all of them.
It's set in the Mexican land of the dead, and you're a travel agent who gives people their passage through the land of the dead. And if you led a good life, you get a ticket on the number 9 train, and it takes you straight to the ninth after the ninth world, in the land of eternal peace, in 4 minutes. If you've led a bad life, it gives you a walking stick and a compass and says, right, off you pop. It takes you 4 years to get there. And in those 4 years, you have to kind of think about the way you lived your life and become a better person. And then finally, you'll get granted access into the ninth of the world, the land of eternal peace, whatever. Anyway, to get on the train, you need a golden ticket, and someone's been stealing all the golden tickets, and you have to find out what's wrong, you know, the corruption at the heart of the land of the dead. And it's a beautiful game. It looks gorgeous. The graphics are amazing for 1997, and I absolutely love the story. And it has one of the strongest final lines of a story, book, film, anything since well, Nobody's Perfect, which is at the end of it, he wins, and him and his love Mercedes travel to. They're on the train, they're about to set off to the ninth of the world, the ninth afterlife, whatever it's called, the land of eternal bliss, land of eternal peace. And they look like sugar skull skeletons, you know, from the land of the dead, from the Day of the Dead, Mexican Day of the Dead. And she says, you know, are you scared about what might be at the other side of the gate, you know, once we go through on the train? And he says, the last 4 years have taught me anything, it's that nobody knows what's waiting at the end of the line, so you might as well enjoy the trip. And I'm like, oh my God, that is awesome! Someone engrave that on something. So yeah, huge LucasArts fan. Oh, and also X-Wing TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight, all of those were fantastic. And then George Lucas went mad, made Star Wars Episode 1 and sacked off LucasArts. Sorry, I've gone completely nerding out. But if there are people watching on Twitch and you like video games from the 90s, you're man. Yeah, I had to stop playing them, mate. Taking over my life. Get it done. So you can go to every country in the world without flying and playing video games all the time. No. But on. Lol, how do you remember all so well? How do I remember all so well? I've got a very strange brain.
I'm so not going to argue with that.
Chris has been finding out in the course of this journey. I have a little bit of encyclopedic knowledge, or not knowledge, I would say, because I'm not that smart, but I've insane memory retention of facts, jokes, things, stuff, whatever. I don't know. I just remember stuff. And yes, I should go on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire one day. So everyone says, should go on The Chase.
There you go. You never know.
But I'll get a question about soap operas. I don't like about soap operas. Stop watching them when Charlene married Scott. You know, I was disgusted. I cried. I thought, well, she's not going to marry me now. Hey, Chris, where does Carly get her kebabs?
No idea.
From Jason's Donovan.
I'm going to flick your ears.
Do not assault me.
When we get to the other end,
Do not assault me.
and we get out of this vehicle, I'm going to start flicking your ears.
Okay, I've had this idea because of the memes that have been going out, which are really funny, from what happened at the Oscars. Someone's done a meme, and instead of it being Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, it's actually Volodymyr Zelensky slapping Vladimir Putin.
He's actually quite good.
And I've had this thought. I've got a mate who paints murals in Liverpool. You might know his artwork. His name's Paul Curtis. If you see the wings of Liverpool, that people have, it's a graffiti on a wall, and you stand in front of it. Well, it's a mural on the wall. You stand in front of it, and it makes it look like you've got big wings sticking out of you. In Liverpool, down at the Baltic Triangle. I'm thinking of getting him down here, getting down to the Polish border, and getting to do a big mural of Zelensky slapping Putin, so that when people are coming over from Ukraine, they see this mural of just like, is it Slavy Ukrainian? Is that it? Is it Slavy?
Not sure.
Okay, we need to find out. I just say like Ukraine forever. I think it's Slavy Ukrainian, but someone wants to correct it in the comments. Please do. Right, we are staying on to A40 for another 39 kilometers, but I do think we'll be coming up to the border pretty soon. I will check. Zooming out. Oh, we've got a bit of time.
Hour and 24 minutes, apparently.
Yeah, that's to the
the other bit.
that's to the tunnel. How far to the border? Can you see the border on there?
To the French border.
To the French border, there it
To
is.
the French border.
Is that not it? That line is very straight.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's a road.
Let's have a look. There's Dunkirk.
If you zoom out loads, you'll see it. If you zoom out like loads, like that, so you see like the whole country, you should be able to see the border.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean loads. I mean, keep zooming out. There you go. Oh. That's because it's showing all the traffic on the roads.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I do it? It's a bit infra-dig to touch another man's phone. You notice that? I get very apprehensive when someone touching my phone. The first thought is like, are there any pictures on that they shouldn't see? Somebody sent me that on WhatsApp. It just appeared in my WhatsApp folder. No, I wasn't looking at that. War does not determine who is right, only who is left. Oh, yeah, that's a good point, mate. Yeah, unfortunately, there is a war going on the, right on our doorstep, and it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking that this is happening, and that our leaders, our so-called leaders, have allowed it to happen, and have in ways aided and abetted Putin and his cruelty, his megalomania, his insanity, his belief that he can just do anything he likes with no fear of consequences whatsoever. And I'm leaders like Boris Johnson, like Trump, like Erdogan, Bolsonaro, they all bolstered this idea in Vladimir Putin's head that he can get away with murder and there will be no consequences. Like he got away with murder when he murdered a British citizen on British soil in Salisbury. And half of the British people went, I don't think it was real. I think we attacked ourselves because, you know, we were just feeling a bit weird. We were just feeling a bit fruity. We thought it was like, I don't know, kill ourselves for no reason. Release a deadly nerve. Release a deadly nerve agent that only exists in Russia on our own soil because there's a by-election. There's a local elections coming up. Please do me a quaver. It was 2 days before the Russian presidential election of 2017. Zelensky started off as a joke, but he has made himself a hero. Yeah, absolutely. He is a man who has risen to the occasion in so many ways, and he's an inspirational figure now, and he will be, no matter what happens, and I hope that he comes through this. But whatever happens, he will be forever remembered as an inspirational figure in not just Ukraine, but around the world. And chatting to Alexandra, she said when he was first elected, she didn't like him. She didn't think he'd be any good because he was a comedian and, you know, he didn't have any experience in politics. But now, after what he's done and what he's done for the country, she really believes that, like, he's the man. He is the man. I'm off. See you later, says Richard. Okay, cheers, number 3.
See you, number 3.
Right. Well, we've got an hour and 22 minutes. You want to have a bit of a kip?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, I'm gonna say goodnight then. I will be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. Do you reckon we could take people through the tunnel with us? Did we do that last time? I think we took people as far as we could before we had to stop. But we're gonna call it now on this live stream. We'll be back in about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, with some more tonight as we cross across under the channel to England, and beyond. So if you're joining us a little late here, we've just been to the Ukrainian border. We dropped off supplies, dropped off some medical aid, some medical equipment and some humanitarian aid. We picked up a couple of refugees. We've taken them to where they are staying in Dusseldorf in Germany, and now we're heading home. So I will be dropping there off in Northamptonshire on the way to getting back to my gaff actually my parents' gaff in Liverpool, and then tomorrow I'll be heading back to Durham where I actually live. So my journey is not yet complete and won't be complete until probably about, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. And I'm going to be driving tonight till very late, so I might be doing a late one. And if I do, I will take you with me. So thank you for watching. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for all your donations. If you're enjoying this and you're enjoying seeing where your money's going and what we're spending it on and everything, then please donate, because this isn't the last time we're going to do this. We plan to do this as many times as we can get away with, as many times as we can possibly do, in order to get the stuff over to the people who need it the most. This is all we can do at the moment. I'm not a fighting man. I've got no military experience. What I can do to fight Putin is to assist the people of Ukraine in any way that I can, and this is the way that I can assist. Okay, so we'll speak to you soon. You guys take care, and just know that, you're loved, you're respected, and that you are wanted. And anyone who tells you otherwise, fuck off. Until next time, bye-bye.